Whenever there's a rather horrible natural disaster, or what seems to be a natural disaster, of course there's a lot of media attention on it, and there's a lot of speculation about how it started, why it started, and could there possibly be a nefarious reason behind it? Is it what it appears to be? Now, I've had some fascinating, interesting emails as a result, and of course the comments of my videos since I put up the business about this fire, this so-called natural wildfire in Maui on Hawaii. And there's been a fascinating number of people who are also thinking the same as me, that this does look incredibly mysterious and weird. The way that the aftermath is presenting itself with non-scorched tarmac, trees that still have green leaves on it, and buildings that have twisted metal, cars that have had all the paint stripped off and everything inside burnt, the chairs and everything that you see in a car fire, which must have certain amount of intense heat, and yet there's a pool or a swimming pool, whatever it is, pretty much intact, still with the water in it that hadn't evaporated. Does look very odd. And then at the same time, I've had a couple of emails, one particularly from a supporter of the channel, but saying, Richard, I think you're overreacting. You don't know the facts, and actually wildfires can have this sort of effect. The trees on Maui and Hawaii have actually developed over the years to protect themselves. They're full of water, which of course trees are, but that doesn't mean that the leaves wouldn't have shriveled up and been burnt, and the twigs and stuff wouldn't have gone. But also we're saying most of those houses were made of wood, and they would have just burnt in the way that they do and just come down to the ground. And that may be true to a certain degree, although it doesn't answer quite why, if you've got timber-made buildings with combustibles and it's all quite light material, and you've got hurricane winds, then why the buildings have just sort of collapsed down like this rather than not have been strewn all over the place. I would have expected to see not clean, immaculately clean areas of tarmac, and from the pictures you can see the roads don't, apart from where a car is, nothing has sort of fallen down and been blown about, ash everywhere. Everything is very mysteriously like it was there and then just folded in on itself. You hear, of course, from some of the people now, as more reports are coming out, that there was some very strange noises, sort of deep vibrational noises that were heard. And then there's the whole mystery, of course, about the sirens. Apparently there are 80 sirens. They're very worried that the place could catch fire, so they have these emergency sirens. All of that was knocked out. And in fact, the police were going around with loud hailers, apparently, telling people to get out and get on the move, instead of using these wonderful sirens. We also hear, of course, the backstory about it was not that long ago when people were being asked if they would sell the land, and they wouldn't. The natives wouldn't sell the land, and they all wanted to stay responsible, independent for their own property and not sell it out. We also hear that the WEF are very keen to turn it into one of their special projects of a 15-minute city, and nobody particularly wanted that. And then we had the UN only, 3 weeks ago, telling us that we were in the era of global boiling. And now all of that could naturally be just coincidence. But I think anybody who follows how coincidences work, it seems one or two coincidences too many. Now, so you've got all of that, and the world, of course, we're all looking at this and we're all trying to decipher it. Oh, I forgot to mention that if you look at those aerial pictures of how the fire was moving about, it does seem to be in some places a perfect circle, the way the fire is sort of burning, as if it was drawn out by a laser, or one of these direct energy weapons that a number of people are poo-pooing. But apparently they are real and they have been used. And somebody sent me a picture from 2017 from a place called, I think, not Santa Maria, but something like that, in which, again, the houses had been burnt and the trees were still standing and the tarmac was clear. It was almost as if that was a test for this sort of stuff. And I feel we're going to see this again, even though it's incredibly suspicious. But some people may say, no, no, Richard, this is climate change. It really is climate change. The world is boiling up. I'm just not convinced. But anyway, let's say that it is. Let's say that we're all looking at this, at the world, the media, and everyone are trying to figure it out. Is it conspiracy theory? Is it natural? Who cares for the moment? Because is this a huge distraction? What else? When you have a big red flag event like this going on and everyone's watching it and seeing it, I'm now curious, what else is going on that we're not paying attention? What other things are happening in the world that we ought to know about, but our attention has been, no, look over here, massive thing over there. Doesn't matter whether you think it's conspiracy or not. We just want you to look in that direction, because something else much more nefarious is probably, and I don't know what, but is probably going on or being orchestrated. So if you're aware of that, do let me know, because I'll be fascinated. Is there something that you've noticed that's over on this side? Because we know how these big events always allow governments and those people in authority to let out information perhaps that we ought to be concentrating on, but we've had our attention diverted somewhere else. So do let me know.